2.5. 2.5 million children live homeless in the United States of America. 51% of those, 51% of 2.5 million children are 6 years old or younger. I have 2 kids in that age demographic, and I don't even fathom that concept. The state of Georgia, out of 50 states in this country, we are ranked 49 out of 50. We suck in being a state that has more risk for homelessness for children. And Gwinnett County is the 3rd highest county in this state with kids living in those circumstances. Now, you probably have heard those numbers before. I have heard those numbers before, but on Friday I was in a meeting where those numbers were mentioned one more time. And somehow it resonated different with me, because for the past 3 weeks, I'm talking about this idea that the best is yet to come. So for the past 48 hours, I've been wrestling, how can the best yet to come where we're in the midst of so much brokenness? Now, I don't know what your morning looked like today, but there's a big chance that you wake up in a home with air conditioning. Does anybody wake up today in a house with air conditioning? There's a chance that somebody in this room had bacon for breakfast, or biscuits, or cereal, or something keto if you're into those things. And you maybe took a shower, and I was going to ask who took a shower, but then that could be awkward because you don't know who you're sitting next to, right? But there's a big chance that if you took a shower, if you were one of those who took a shower, you took a hot shower this morning. And there's a big chance that if you, well, obviously you're wearing something, that you were able to wear something clean. If you're a teenager, you didn't, right? Because you only wear the same short and t-shirt the whole week. Doesn't matter which day of the week it is. And you put yourself some clean clothes, and you got in your car, which most likely has air conditioning, and you drove to this place, and you enter into a place where you're sitting comfortable in air conditioning. I mean, in a nutshell, that was somebody else's morning. Some people in some generations, I'm one of those, we wake up in the mornings, one of the first things that we do is we go to our phone to see what's happening, to see who got angry with who, right? To see who is fighting with who. And if you've been following the world, if you have been able to get out of our bubbles for the past, 24 hours, you probably read what happened in Haiti. So there's a big chance that somebody today, and when I say somebody, it might as well have been me, pick up the phone in my bed, in my comfort. Then I went to the bathroom, and I sat in my toilet with air conditioning. I don't have one of those fancy floors where there's heat coming out of the floor. I heard those are awesome. They're in my bucket list. But I was sitting in my comfort, reading what was happening in Haiti. And maybe went to my kitchen and put some bacon in the oven and sit and eat some food while continue to scroll what was happening. Got in the car, I couldn't drive and watch my phone, but got here, and somehow, maybe I felt bad for what happened, But that was the extent of the morning. Does anybody can relate to that? And maybe not this morning, but maybe a microcosm of what sometimes life is. When there is so much brokenness around us, and it doesn't stop us to go through the motions. And we feel bad, and we may even pray for those things, but yet somehow it's just easy to put it away. When there's people today in Haiti that their reality just changed completely. That this is not just a bad day, this is a new reality. When there's children right now across this county, across this state, across this country, where it's not a bad day, it is the reality. And yet we stand here and we believe that the best is yet to come. How can both things coexist? You know, I was in that meeting on Friday, hearing all these statistics, and just getting sickened about it. And thinking, man, because it is not the government's responsibility. I mean, hopefully they'll do their part, and hopefully they're elected for a reason, and they'll put systems in place that give a chance to every single human. It is not those big nonprofits to use their tax dollars or their credits to do good. The more I read this book, the more I realize that it's a biblical responsibility for you and me to do something about it, about the brokenness in this world. And there's just no way around that. It is our responsibility as a church to do something when we see brokenness around us. So how do we put together this idea that the best is yet to come, yet there is so much brokenness? Well, this is how. It is not about us. So this concept that the best is yet to come, it is just not about us. On week 1, I start making a statement. If you believe that the best is yet to come, you better start having the right attitude towards that, right? You better start believing that there is a good, loving, and faithful God that keeps his promises. Can I get an amen for that? That there is a good, faithful God that keeps his promises. And if he said that the best is yet to come, it can become a reality. Last week, we talked about, okay, it's not just about the right attitude and believing that. What's the point for that, right? What is the purpose of that? If we believe that the best is yet to come, what is the point of that? And this week, we're going to talk not just about believing, not just about centering for the right purpose. It's about actually how do we become that a reality? How do we put our faith into action? Right? How do all these concepts that we believe that are in this book can become a reality? Because I'll tell you this. All these children that are living in homelessness, they don't need nobody to come and quote them a Bible verse, to come and recite Jesus. They need somebody that will come and love and live like Jesus for their lives. You following me? You know, quoting Bible verses, which, by the way, go and memorize the Bible. That's awesome. You know, learning songs in 2 or 3 different languages. You know, having just conversations with God. That won't cut it by itself. You have to put your faith into action. You have to do something with your faith. Some of you know my boys, 2 of my boys play football. And our 9-year-old Gabe, he plays 9U. And you know, they start training. And according to the coaches, they're gonna win the Super Bowl, right? It looks like. So they're there in practice when it's raining, when it's sunny. I mean, sometimes when it's thundering, but they don't let us leave. And they're putting on the work from Monday to Friday, so on Saturday they can do something about it. You follow me? It's not about just what happens from Monday to Friday. It's about doing something when it comes down to doing something. And that can apply for any sport or any art that you do. It's not just about learning how to paint. It is whenever you're going to paint that you know what you're doing. You're going to kick a ball, you're going to throw a ball, you're going to swing a bat to the ball. It is doing all the work in practice so in game day, you know what to do. Faith ain't that different than that. All these readings that we do of the Bible, all this praying that we do, all this singing that we do, it comes so when it's time to put it into action that we can do something about that. I don't know, when it comes down to sports, who likes losing in life? So, I'm going to play sports and I'm going to suck at it. I just want to suck at it. Or, play Uno with my wife or Face 10 or whatever it is, and you just go through life, just sucking at stuff. It's not all about winning, but I do believe, I don't enjoy losing. And my wife knows that. We can play Face 10, but we will not go to bed if she won the last game. We had to do a review. And I know I'm dealing with my own ego and my own demons, but we're still struggling with that. And I think most of the time she's like, dude, you won. I just want to go to bed. When it comes down to faith, we just can't go through faith just sucking at it. Simple as that. As a church, as the body of Christ, we just can't go through this world seeing the brokenness around and say like, well, hopefully somebody else will win because we're going to suck at it. We better do something about that. There's a story in the Bible that we're going to go through it. It comes from the book of Kings. So it's an old story in the Old Testament. It's a story that takes place 6,000 years ago or so. But I hope can give us a glimpse of what putting faith into action looks like. So let me read it. 2 Kings chapter 4, verse 1 and 2. Now, there was a woman who had been married to a member of a group of prophets. She was married to a prophet. And she appeared to a prophet named Elisha and said to him, you see, my husband, your servant, is dead. And you know how he feared the Lord. But now someone that we owe money to has come to take my children as slaves. And that was not illegal. According to the law, the Mosaic law at this time, if you owe money to somebody, they could have the right and come take your children. So she had a legitimate fear of this reality. And then Elijah said to her, what can I do for you? And before she got a chance to respond, he goes and asks the second question. He said, tell me what you still have left in the house. And she responded, your servant has nothing at all except a small jar of oil. What do you have in your house? Like, I have nothing except a small jar of oil. Let me give you some context. The people of Israel, they were created to worship God. And for many, many years, for centuries, the kings, they were in charge of making that become a reality. Somehow, the dude that is king right now, the guy that is king right now, he's letting everybody just worship whoever they want to worship. It's like a free range. Everybody just go and worship whatever God you want to worship. So when she's saying, it's like, God, my husband that just died, he was one of the few prophets. She's making like, everybody's going nuts. We're one of the ones that are still faithful. And he passed. And not only he passed, but now they're going to take my children. And I don't know about you, but I can almost hear her frustration or perhaps her anxiety saying like, come on, God, we're one of the good ones. We try. We've been trying to do our part. But now there's this reality in front of me. And I share that because there may be somebody in this room that you may be going through your own hell as well. And you may be saying, come on, God. I'm doing my best. And just things are just not coming along. And I don't know what else to do. I may lose my home. I can't find a job. My wife or my husband is still sick. Or I'm still afraid for the health of my children. Whatever it is that you may be going through, you may be saying, God, I just don't know what to do anymore. So I hope this story can give you a word for you today. You're one of those. Here's the first principle that I get out of this story. Do not diminish what you already have. You see, she goes and said, I have nothing. I just have a small jar of oil. Don't diminish what you have, because what you have ain't nothing. What you have ain't nothing. And I know grammatically that may not sound good, but that sounds better preaching. What you have ain't nothing. It's something what you have. It may not look much, but it's something. This week I was having lunch with somebody from the church, and we were eating, and he said, let me pray. I said, good. He started praying, and then he made this statement. You know, when you pray with somebody, or when somebody's praying, pay attention. You never know when they're going to see something smart, right? I mean, you never know when you're going to be amazed by somebody's prayer. And he said, God, we just give you thanks because we are so rich. And I was thinking, like, well, you speak for yourself. So God, I can still use a little bit more sugar around here in my household. But then he said, you know, we ask for a hot meal, and a hot meal is delivered into our table. So God, we are so rich. I pray before every meal, 3 times a day. Some days 4 or 5. I'm working on that. And I'll tell you, so many times I take for granted that reality, that a meal can be delivered hot in front of me, that I have more than perhaps 92% of the whole world. Don't diminish what you have in your house left, because God can use it for something. And do not doubt in God's ability. Do not doubt in God's ability to do the extravagant with it might image seem insignificant. How many in this room know about farming? You know, farming, F-A-R-M-I-N-G. Because just sometimes I say words, and when people don't get it, when I don't get a reaction, like, hey, I have no idea what I'm saying. I know nothing about farming. I mean, I like to eat the products that come out of farming, but I know nothing about the concept. My wife, we have like a small little garden in the backyard, and she's growing tomatoes, and she's growing cucumbers, and this year, for the first time, we're growing watermelons. But here's the thing, the fascinating thing about farming, or gardening, or all those things, is that you can put a seed this size, and you can get something that is 5-6 pounds. Following me? You see, there's a reason why, God said, hey, if you want to move a mountain, he didn't say, you should have faith of the size of a mountain, which that would make all the sense in the world. But what he said, if you want to move a mountain, you should have faith of the size of what? A mustard seed. God can do the extravagant. God can do the extravagant with what it may seem insignificant. And my friend, that may be the whole principle of tithing, right? I mean, it is believing that God can do more with 10% than with us, with ourselves, with the 90%. See, because tithing is not about an amount, right? If it was an amount, it would just be, hey, here's the amount. Everybody, we need $50,000. Let's just split it. Well, what tithing is allowing is if you make 6 figures, you can tithe. If you make $10 an hour, you can tithe. If you live out of your parents' allowance, you can tithe. We all can participate of God's miracle. You see, in the story, this is what happens. He said to her, go out and borrow containers for all your neighbors. And he said, get as many containers as possible. He knows something is about to happen. He knows God is about to do something. So then go in and close the door behind you and your sons, and pour the oil into all those containers. Set each one aside when it's full. So she left Elisha and closed the doors behind her and her sons, and they brought containers, and she kept pouring. God's abundance follows faith in action. And we in the western part of the world, we have that all completely messed up. You see, the miracle comes when she's pouring when it makes no sense. I don't know how small was that container. Let's say it was 8 ounces, and she had a full room of containers. Let's say one of those was this size. It doesn't take rocket science or common core math to figure it out that one of these will not fill all those containers. The only place where you may see something like that is in America Got Talent, and we know that that ain't real. But she poured that. And she filled one, and then she called her son, bring another one, and bring another one. And she filled that, and they called, bring another one, and brought another one. Verse 6, when she had filled the containers, she said to her son, bring me another container. So he said to her, there are no more. We'll run out of them. Then at that moment, not before that, but at that moment, the oil stopped flowing. She reported this to the man of God. What that means is that the prophet was not in the room. And I don't think that was a coincidence. Because if the prophet might have been in the room, she might as well give the credit to him. But there ain't nobody in the room but her and God. So she said, God, that was you. Don't miss the personal God that we have. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know what you may be pouring out that you're feeling completely empty. But the same God that was in that room is the same God that could be in your living room. The same God that can be with you and say, I can do something incredible with the little thing that you may have. Because what you have ain't nothing. Elijah says, so go and sell the oil and pay your debts, and you and your sons can live out in what remains. I'll tell you this, it is easy to have more faith in God when you have less than when you have more. Because there's something about us in our brokenness that the more we have in storage. And the more we want to hoarder. I don't know if that's the right word. But so God is saying, just go and pour it out. You see, when we're talking about the best is yet to come, we're not talking about this idea of just going through life, acquiring things or achieving things. It's not about that. The best is yet to come. It's about emptying ourselves and refilling our cup with God. Three years ago, as a church, we decided to take on another location located in Jimmy Carter. And some of you guys work here, some of you guys are new, but you knew that when we decided to do that, we have no money and no people to really take on to that. This Friday, I was in a meeting with finally Gwinnett County, after 3 years of funding and construction and permits and pandemic and everything, they said, you know what, you can open the doors officially and women and children can come and find hope in beds that looks like this. And let me just clarify, this is this is not a pat in the back to ourselves. Honor and glory goes to God, because it is the same way that happened in this story between this woman and God. It ain't us who did it. Our limitation was to be obedient. That's all we did. We start being obedient, and God was able to do what only God can do. And I'll tell you this, if God can do it for us corporally, God can do it for you personally. I have no idea what hell you're going through. But we are saying that we believe God can bring heaven down to earth. And we believe that there is a good, faithful, and loving God that keeps his promises. That if he's saying the best is yet to come, the best is yet to come. And God has the potential to do the incredible through a small act of obedience. I want you to take a moment and think what it would look like for you in whatever it is that you're going through to be obedient. I'm not asking you to find a solution to that problem. I don't know what problem that is. But what it will look like for you in that problem to simply be obedient to God, to surrender it to God, to pour 8 ounces into a bigger bucket, believing that God can fill in the rest. Let's pray. God, we read stories like the one of this woman. And God, one more time, we don't want to take for granted even her own pain. God, because through her pain, through her struggles, through her journey, God, you can use that story to meet us here and teach us something. So God, that is a reminder that whatever it is that we're going through, God, you can use that pain to bring your purpose. That you don't waste our painful journey. God, I don't know what's each one of the struggles that are represented in this room. God, what I do know is that you can meet us where we are. God, what I do know is that you are a personal God that can walk into our living room and can say, I can do something extravagant with you, through you, and despite of you. So God, we pray for that. God, that as we believe that the best is yet to come, it is not for our own sake. God, is so we can be a blessing to others. God, is that through our simple or gigantic act of obedience, God, you can use that to do what only you can do. The numbers of brokenness around us may be too big, 2.5 million. And might as well we have to start with 20 beds. God, help us start where we are, being obedient to you, to address the brokenness around us, and God, to believe that you can bless us so we can bless others. That is what we pray. God, that is what we declare every time that we take communion. God, yeah, we acknowledge your greatest act of love and salvation coming through our lives. We're thankful, God, that we were sinners, yet you sent Jesus Christ to die for us. God, we acknowledge that you use us to share that message with others. God, let us be agents of heaven here on earth. We pray that in Jesus' name. Amen.